Derinkuyu, underground city, Turkey. Picture this, you're standing in a quiet town in central Turkey. Normal houses, small shops, kids playing outside. Nothing looks strange. But right under your feet, hidden beneath the streets, there's a massive underground world. Not a small tunnel, not a single room, an entire city, deep, dark, and mysterious. This is Derinkuyu underground city, and for centuries, people lived their whole lives below the ground without sunlight, without fresh air from the surface, and without being seen by enemies above. This place feels unreal. The entrance is so small you could miss it if you weren't looking closely. Just a narrow opening in a house, but once you step inside, the ground drops away. Stone stairs lead down, then more stairs, then more. The deeper you go, the colder and quieter it gets. Your footsteps echo. The air feels heavy but somehow still breathable. And that's the first mystery. How did people survive so deep underground, long before modern tools or machines? Derinkuyu goes down around 60 meters, about as deep as a 20-story building. It has at least 18 levels. Some experts believe there could be more that are still not fully explored. This was not a temporary hiding spot. This was a planned city. There were homes, kitchens, food storage rooms, wells, churches, schools, animal stables, and even places for meetings. Thousands of people could live here at the same time. Some say up to 20,000 people along with animals and supplies. The walls are carved from soft volcanic rock. That rock made it possible to dig using simple tools, but it also created another mystery. If the rock is soft, why hasn't the city collapsed after all these years? The answer is clever design. The tunnels are shaped in a way that spreads weight evenly. Pillars were left in key places. Everything was carefully planned, not rushed. One of the most fascinating parts is the ventilation system. Long, vertical shafts run from deep underground all the way to the surface. These brought fresh air down and pushed bad air out. Some of these shafts were also used as wells, but only from certain levels, so enemies could not poison the water. Even today, when you stand near one of these shafts, you can feel cool air moving. That's ancient engineering still working. Now comes the big question. Why did people build this? And why did they need something this extreme? Most historians believe Derinkuyu was used as a safe place during invasions. Central Anatolia was attacked many times over thousands of years. Different empires came and went. When danger came, people could disappear underground for weeks or even months. Heavy round stone doors could be rolled into place to block tunnels. These doors are massive and only open from the inside. If enemies found the entrance, they still couldn't get in. Life underground was not easy. Imagine living without sunlight, no fresh wind on your face, oil lamps for light, smoke, smells, noise, and tight spaces. Yet, people adapted. There were separate areas for cooking to keep smoke away from sleeping rooms. Animals were kept near the entrance levels so heat and smell wouldn't reach deeper areas. Food like grains and dried vegetables were stored in cool rooms to last longer. Children grew up here, people prayed here, they learned here. Entire communities lived in silence and darkness, waiting for danger to pass. That mental strength alone is hard to imagine today. Another mystery is who started it first. Some say the Hittites began digging as early as 1500 BCE. Others believe later groups expanded it, especially early Christians hiding from persecution. The truth is likely a mix. Different people used it, changed it, and improved it over centuries. That's why the city feels layered, like history stacked on top of itself. Derinkuyu was forgotten for a long time. In the 1960s, a local man renovating his house found a wall behind his basement. When he broke through it, he discovered a tunnel. That tunnel led to rooms. Those rooms led to corridors, and suddenly, one of the greatest underground cities in the world was found again. Imagine that moment, digging in your home and uncovering a lost city. Today, Derinkuyu is open to visitors, but only a small part. Many levels are closed for safety. The open sections are narrow. You have to bend down often. Tall people struggle. Claustrophobic visitors sometimes panic and rush back up. It's not a comfortable tourist spot, and that's part of its power. It doesn't feel polished. It feels real. Now, let's talk about the current condition of the site, both the good and the bad. On the positive side, the city is protected by the Turkish government. It is cleaned, monitored, and controlled. Lights have been added carefully. Paths are marked. Guides are available. This helps prevent damage and keeps visitors safe. Tourism brings money to the local area, creating jobs and awareness. The underground city is no longer forgotten, and that matters. The structure itself is still strong. The ventilation still works. The stone doors are still there. Walls still hold the marks of ancient tools. That's incredible after thousands of years. But there are negatives too. Moisture from visitors' breath and body heat slowly affects the rock. Some areas show signs of wear. Too many visitors in a small space create stress on the structure. Also, only a fraction of the city is accessible, which means much remains unseen, unexplored, and possibly at risk if not studied properly. Another issue is commercialization. Shops outside sell souvenirs that have little to do with history. Some visitors rush through just to take photos, missing the meaning of the place. Silence, which was once a key part of life underground, is often broken by noise and crowds. In my opinion, Derinkuyu is one of the most powerful examples of human survival thinking. This wasn't built for comfort or beauty, it was built for survival. It shows what people are capable of when fear forces them to adapt. At the same time, it's a reminder of how violent and unstable the past was. No one builds a city underground unless life above is dangerous. I also think we still don't fully understand this place. There may be deeper levels, hidden connections to other underground cities nearby, stories lost forever. That mystery is part of its magic. Not everything needs to be fully explained. As of today, Derinkuyu stands as both a tourist site and a silent witness. Above ground, life goes on like any other town. Below ground, the city waits in darkness, cold, quiet, watching. The present situation is stable but fragile, protected yet slowly affected by time and people. If respected and preserved, it will continue to tell its story for generations. If not, this underground world could fade back into silence forever. Cappadocia Tunnel Network. Turkey. Imagine walking across the soft valleys of Cappadocia. Fairy chimneys rise like stone towers. Hot air balloons float silently in the morning sky. Everything feels open, wide, and peaceful. But here is the mystery. Beneath this beautiful land, there is another world. A hidden world made of tunnels, rooms, and underground paths that connect entire towns. Not just one underground city, but a whole tunnel network spread across Cappadocia. And most people walking above it have no idea what lies below. This tunnel network is not one straight line or one simple system. It is a maze. Some tunnels are short, some go on for kilometers. Some connect underground cities like Derinkuyu, Kaimakli, and others that are still being discovered. The deeper you go, the more confusing it becomes. Turns twist suddenly. Ceilings drop low. Air becomes cooler. And silence gets louder. The first question that hits you is simple. Why would people dig so much underground? Not one city, not two, but an entire network. Cappadocia has a special kind of rock, soft volcanic stone formed by ancient eruptions. Easy to carve, but strong enough to hold shape. Thousands of years ago, people realized this land could hide them. So they started digging, slowly, carefully. Generation after generation added more tunnels, more rooms, more exits. What began as simple shelters became a massive underground system. These tunnels were not random, they were smart. Narrow enough so enemies could not move easily. Low ceilings forced attackers to bend. Sharp turns stopped fast movement. Hidden air shafts kept people breathing. Stone doors blocked paths instantly. Some tunnels were even designed to trap enemies if they went too far in. People didn't just hide underground for a few hours. They lived there. Entire communities could disappear beneath the surface during invasions. Above ground, the land looked empty. Below ground, life continued quietly. One of the biggest mysteries is how these tunnels connect. Some experts believe there are secret paths between major underground cities, stretching for miles. A few connections have been found, but many are still sealed or collapsed. Locals tell stories of tunnels that once led to nearby villages, monasteries, and water sources. It's possible that people could travel underground without ever coming to the surface. Think about that. Walking for hours in darkness, guided only by memory and oil lamps. The tunnel network also shows how organized these people were. There were signs carved into walls to guide movement. Certain paths were used for animals, others for people. Storage areas were placed near living spaces. Churches and meeting rooms were deeper, safer from attack. Everything had a reason. Air was life underground. Vertical shafts brought fresh air down and pushed smoke up. Some shafts were so well designed that even today, air still flows naturally. Water wells were protected from poisoning. Some tunnels had drainage systems to remove waste. This was not primitive living. It was advanced survival planning. But life underground came with fear. Darkness can change the human mind. Children grew up without seeing the sun for long periods. Time felt different. Days and nights blurred together. Silence could be comforting, but also terrifying. People had to trust that danger above would pass. The tunnel network wasn't used all the time. People lived above ground during peaceful times. Farms, homes, and churches existed in the open. But when armies approached, everyone knew what to do. They went underground. Animals first, supplies next, then families. Entrances were sealed, and Cappadocia became empty on the surface. Over time, invasions changed. Empires rose and fell. The need for hiding slowly disappeared. The tunnels were used less and less. Some collapsed, some were forgotten. Others were sealed on purpose to keep them hidden. For centuries, these tunnels slept beneath the land. Then, in modern times, discoveries began again. Builders found walls that led nowhere. Farmers uncovered holes in fields. Explorers followed narrow passages and found entire underground chambers. Cappadocia revealed that it was not just one underground city, but a whole underground world. Today, only parts of the tunnel network are open. Most remain closed, either for safety or because they are still unexplored. Even experts admit they don't know the full size of the system. New tunnels are still being found. Now, let's talk about the current condition of the Cappadocia tunnel network. On the positive side, the area is protected as a historic and cultural treasure. Authorities control access to prevent damage. Popular underground cities connected to the network are maintained and monitored. Lighting and safety measures help visitors move through safely. Tourism helps fund preservation and research. The global interest in Cappadocia keeps these tunnels from being forgotten again. The tunnels themselves are still strong in many areas. The rock holds. Ventilation still works. Tool marks are visible, showing human effort from thousands of years ago. That connection to the past is powerful, but there are serious negatives. Many tunnels are fragile. Earth movement, water damage, and time have weakened parts of the system. Opening too many areas could cause collapses. Also, heavy tourism brings moisture, heat, and vibration. This slowly damages the rock. Some sections have already been closed because of safety risks. Another problem is lack of full exploration. Because the network is so vast, some areas remain unknown. That means damage could be happening without anyone noticing. Illegal digging and curiosity seekers also pose risks. One wrong move can destroy history forever. There is also the issue of misunderstanding. Some visitors see the tunnels as just another attraction. They take quick photos and leave. They don't feel the fear, patience, and intelligence it took to survive underground. That emotional connection is slowly being lost. In my opinion, the Cappadocia tunnel network is one of the greatest hidden achievements of ancient people. It proves that survival is not always about fighting. Sometimes it's about disappearing, adapting, and waiting. These tunnels were not built for glory. They were built for life. I believe we should be careful with how much we open to tourism. Mystery is not a bad thing. Some parts should remain untouched, preserved in silence. Once damaged, this underground world cannot be rebuilt. Right now, the present situation of the Cappadocia tunnel network is balanced between protection and pressure. It is admired, studied, and visited, but also vulnerable. Above ground, balloons rise and tourists smile. Below ground, tunnels remain quiet, holding stories of fear, hope, and survival. They are still there, waiting in the dark, reminding us that history is not always written in the light. Gobekli Tepe subterranean passages. Turkey picture a dry hill in southeastern Turkey. No trees, no buildings, just stone, dust, and wind. At first glance, it looks empty, almost boring. But this hill is one of the greatest mysteries on Earth. Gobekli Tepe. A place older than pyramids, older than Stonehenge. And what most people talk about are the massive stone pillars on top. But today, we go beneath the surface. Because hidden under this hill are subterranean passages that raise questions we still cannot answer. Here's the hook. Gobekli Tepe was built around 12,000 years ago. That was a time when humans were supposed to be simple hunter-gatherers. No cities, no farming, no complex planning. Yet, here we are, standing on a site with huge carved stones, perfect circles, and underground passages cut into the earth. That alone breaks the history books. When archaeologists first began digging, they thought Gobekli Tepe was just a ritual site on the surface. But as more soil was removed, strange things appeared. Carved channels, cut steps, narrow underground paths. Not deep cities like Cappadocia, but intentional subterranean spaces. These were not accidents. They were planned. The passages are tight. Low ceilings, rough stone walls. Some lead from the surface structures downward. Others connect different areas of the site. There are also pits and hollow spaces under some of the stone circles. This creates a feeling that Gobekli Tepe was not just meant to be seen. It was meant to be experienced, above and below. So why would people 12,000 years ago dig underground at a sacred place? That's where the mystery deepens. One idea is ritual. The passages may have been used for ceremonies. Imagine moving from light into darkness, then back into light. That kind of journey appears in many belief systems later in history. Birth, death, rebirth, the underworld, the spirit world. These ideas may have started here. Some passages feel hidden on purpose. Not everyone could access them easily. That suggests special roles, leaders, shamans, elders, people who knew the rituals. The underground spaces could have been places for preparation, isolation, or symbolic death before returning to the surface. Another theory is sound. The stone chambers and tunnels create echoes. Voices travel strangely underground. Drumming, chanting, even footsteps would feel different. This could have made rituals more powerful, more emotional, more frightening. What makes this even stranger is the effort required. These people had no metal tools, no wheels, no written language. Yet they carved stone passages and shaped huge blocks with precision. Why invest so much energy into places underground if survival was already hard? Because Gobekli Tepe was not about survival, it was about belief. That's what scares modern historians the most. It suggests that religion or shared belief came before farming, before villages, before settled life. The underground passages add to this idea. They show planning beyond basic needs. They show imagination. Now, here's another layer. Some passages appear unfinished. Others seem intentionally filled in. Gobekli Tepe was buried on purpose. Carefully, slowly. That means people chose to close it, to hide it, to end its use. Why? No one knows. The subterranean areas may have played a role in that final act. Perhaps the rituals ended underground. Perhaps something changed in belief. Or perhaps the knowledge held here was no longer needed or no longer safe. Unlike Cappadocia, these passages were not for hiding from enemies. There's no sign of defensive design, no stone doors, no traps. This was not fear-based construction. It was symbolic. Today, only small parts of the subterranean features are visible. Most remain under the soil. Archaeologists move slowly, very slowly. Every stone matters. One wrong dig could destroy information forever. Now, let's talk about the current condition of Gobekli Tepe and its underground passages. On the positive side, the site is heavily protected. It is recognized as one of the most important archaeological discoveries ever made. A large shelter covers the main area to protect it from weather. Access is controlled. Digging is careful and scientific. The subterranean features that are known are documented and monitored. This protection is good. It keeps the site stable. It prevents looting. It ensures that future generations can still learn from it. The underground passages, fragile as they are, have survived thousands of years, partly because they were buried. That burial protected them. But there are negatives. Because so much is still underground, we don't have the full picture. Many passages remain unexplored. This limits understanding. Also, exposure is a risk. Once underground spaces are opened, they face air, moisture, temperature changes, and human presence. That can cause slow damage. Tourism is another issue. While visitors cannot access the underground passages directly, increased foot traffic above creates vibration and pressure. Even small changes can matter at a site this old. There is also debate in the scientific world. Some believe the underground features are overstated. Others think we are only seeing the beginning. This disagreement slows decisions. What should be opened? What should stay buried? There is no easy answer. In my opinion, Gobekli Tepe is not just rewriting history, it's humbling us. The subterranean passages show that ancient humans were thinking deeply about life, death, and meaning far earlier than we ever imagined. These were not simple people. They were thoughtful, curious, spiritual. I personally believe the underground spaces were meant to separate the ordinary from the sacred. Going below the surface was a mental journey, not a practical one. Darkness changes how humans feel. It makes things serious, powerful, unforgettable. I also believe we should resist the urge to uncover everything. Some mysteries should stay partly hidden. Gobekli Tepe survived because it was buried. Rushing to expose all of it could be a mistake. As of now, the present situation is cautious but stable. Gobekli Tepe stands protected, studied, and respected. Above ground, massive stone pillars stare into the distance. Below ground, the subterranean passages remain mostly silent, holding secrets older than civilization itself. They are still there, waiting, reminding us that the first great human stories may have begun in the dark. European Erdstall tunnels, Central Europe. Imagine walking through a quiet forest in Central Europe. Tall trees, soft wind, birds above you. Nothing feels strange, but somewhere under your feet, hidden in the earth, there are narrow tunnels carved by human hands centuries ago. Tunnels so small you have to crawl, so tight you can barely turn around. No light, no clear purpose. These are the Erdstall tunnels, and they are one of Europe's strangest and least understood mysteries. Here's the hook. No one knows exactly why they were built. Erdstall tunnels are found across Central Europe, mainly in Austria, Germany, France, and parts of the Czech Republic. There are thousands of them. Not just one or two. Entire regions are filled with these underground passages. And yet, there are no clear records explaining them. No ancient texts, no solid answers, just holes in the ground and questions. The tunnels are usually very small. Adults must crawl on hands and knees. Some parts are so narrow that turning back is almost impossible. They twist suddenly, drop down through vertical shafts, then rise again. Some lead to tiny chambers barely big enough for one person. Others end suddenly, like they were never finished, or like something was sealed off. That alone is unsettling. Why build tunnels humans can barely fit into? The walls are carved cleanly. This was not natural erosion. Someone planned this. Someone spent time digging through hard soil and rock with simple tools, and they did it again and again, across wide areas, over long periods of time. Most experts date the Erdstall tunnels to the Middle Ages, around 1000 to 1200 AD. But some believe they could be older. The problem is, almost nothing was left behind. No tools, no bones, no daily objects, just empty tunnels. That emptiness is part of the mystery. One popular idea is that they were hiding places. During times of war or raids, people could hide underground. But this theory has problems. The tunnels are too small for families. No space for food, water, or air for long stays. No signs of fires or living activity. These were not underground cities like in Turkey. Another theory is that they were escape tunnels. But many tunnels don't lead anywhere useful. Some end in dead ends. Some require climbing up tight vertical shafts that would be impossible in panic. Some say they were storage spaces, but again, no signs of stored goods, no ventilation for long-term use. Then there is the strangest theory of all: ritual use. Many Erdstall tunnels are found near old churches, ancient paths, or sacred-looking landscapes. Some chambers feel intentional, like places for pause or action, crawling through darkness, squeezing through tight spaces, emerging into light again. That journey feels symbolic, almost like rebirth. In old European folklore, there are stories of earth spirits, dwarves, and hidden people living underground. Some legends say these beings used tunnels beneath the land. The word Erdstall itself loosely connects to place in the earth. While folklore is not proof, it shows that people long ago sensed something strange about these tunnels. Another detail adds to the mystery. Many tunnels have a specific feature called a sloop. This is an extremely tight squeeze point. Even slim adults struggle to pass through. Why include this on purpose? Some believe it was a test. Only certain people could pass. Or maybe it was meant to slow movement, or maybe it had symbolic meaning. Walking or crawling through an Erdstall tunnel today is a disturbing experience. You feel the earth pressing around you. Sound disappears. Light vanishes. Panic can rise quickly. It's not a place meant for comfort. Which brings us back to the biggest question. Why build something so uncomfortable? Some researchers believe Erdstalls were part of secret traditions lost to time. Knowledge passed orally, not written down. When those traditions ended, the purpose vanished with them. The tunnels remained, silent and useless, like abandoned thoughts in the ground. Others believe they were never meant for daily use. They were meant for moments, specific events, specific people. Once used, they were sealed or left alone. What's clear is this. Erdstall tunnels do not fit neatly into history. They don't match medieval farming life. They don't match military needs. They don't match religious buildings we understand today. They exist outside the usual logic, and that makes them powerful. Now, let's talk about the current condition of the Erdstall tunnels. On the positive side, many are protected as cultural heritage sites. Local historians, volunteers, and small museums work to document and preserve them. Some tunnels are carefully opened for guided visits. Research continues, slowly adding new discoveries. Awareness has grown, and these tunnels are no longer completely ignored. The tunnels themselves are surprisingly durable. Despite being small and old, many have held their shape for centuries. Tool marks are still visible. The earth has not collapsed in many places. That shows careful construction. But there are serious negatives. Many Erdstall tunnels are fragile. Some have collapsed due to age, water damage, or modern construction above ground. Farming, roads, and buildings have destroyed unknown numbers of tunnels without anyone realizing it. Once gone, they are gone forever. Tourism is another risk. Crawling through tight spaces puts pressure on walls. Moisture from breath and body heat slowly damages the soil. Some tunnels had to be closed after visitors caused cracks or collapses. There is also a lack of funding. Because Erdstalls don't attract mass tourism like castles or cathedrals, they receive less attention and money. Research moves slowly. Many tunnels remain undocumented. Another problem is misunderstanding. Some people dismiss them as pointless holes. Others exaggerate them into wild fantasies. The truth likely sits quietly in between, waiting to be understood. In my opinion, the Erdstall tunnels are one of the most human mysteries in Europe. Not because they are grand, but because they are strange. They show that not everything humans build has a clear purpose we can explain today. Sometimes meaning fades faster than stone. I personally believe these tunnels were about experience, not function. Fear, darkness, movement through the earth. These things affect the human mind deeply. The tunnels force humility, control, focus. That kind of experience fits ritual more than survival. I also think it's okay that we don't fully understand them. Mystery has value. Not every question needs a final answer to matter. Right now, the present situation of the Erdstall tunnels is uncertain but hopeful. Some are protected, some are studied. Others are still hidden under fields and forests waiting to be found. Above ground, life moves on without noticing. Below ground, these narrow passages remain quiet, holding a secret Europe has not yet remembered how to explain. Chavin de Huantar. Underground galleries, Peru. Imagine standing high in the Andes Mountains of Peru. The air is thin, the wind is sharp. Mountains surround you in every direction, massive and silent. In front of you lies an ancient stone complex that looks calm on the surface. Solid walls, open plazas. Nothing moves. But beneath this place, hidden under layers of stone, there is something far more disturbing. a dark, underground world of narrow galleries, twisting corridors, stone channels, and echoing chambers. This is Chavin de Huantar, and its underground galleries are some of the most unsettling constructions ever made by ancient humans. Here's the mystery hook. These tunnels were not built to hide from enemies. They were not for escape. They were built to control fear. Chavin de Huantar dates back over 3,000 years, long before the Inca, long before written history in the region. This site was a major religious center, drawing people from across ancient Peru. Pilgrims traveled for days, even weeks, to reach it. And when they arrived, they didn't just stand in open temples. They were taken underground. The galleries below Chavin are not random tunnels. They are carefully designed stone corridors, some narrow, some wider, some straight, others turning sharply. Many are completely dark when unlit. The ceilings are low, the walls feel close. Sound behaves strangely. A whisper can travel far. A footstep can echo like a drum. This was intentional. These underground spaces form a maze. If you don't know the path, you will get lost. Even today, with lights and guides, it's easy to feel confused. Now imagine entering this place thousands of years ago, with only firelight, surrounded by stone, guided by priests who knew every turn. At the heart of this underground system stands the Lanzon, a massive stone figure carved with a strange, terrifying face, human and animal mixed together. Fangs, claws, eyes that seem alive in flickering light. The Lanzon is placed deep inside the galleries, where sound, shadow, and space all work together. This was not decoration. This was psychological power. The Chavin people understood the human mind. They knew fear makes people listen. Darkness makes people believe. Confusion makes people submit. Water played a huge role underground. Stone channels were built beneath the galleries to carry water from nearby rivers. When water rushed through, it created roaring sounds that echoed through the tunnels. The earth itself seemed to speak. Imagine standing in darkness, hearing a deep rumble around you, not knowing where it comes from. Many would believe the gods were present. Light was controlled, movement was controlled, sound was controlled. Even smell may have been controlled, using smoke or plants. Some researchers believe hallucinogenic substances were used during rituals. Combined with darkness and echoing stone, this would completely overwhelm the senses. The underground galleries were a stage, and the priests were directors. People did not come here to hide, they came to be changed. What makes Chavin de Huantar even more mysterious is how advanced this underground design was. The stone blocks fit tightly together. The drainage system is so well made that the site does not flood, even during heavy rain. After thousands of years, the channels still work. This shows long-term planning, knowledge passed down over generations. This was not a one-time build, it was a system that evolved. Another strange detail is that some galleries feel intentionally uncomfortable. Narrow passages force slow movement. Sudden turns disorient the mind. Small chambers create pressure. You are not meant to relax, you are meant to feel small. Above ground, Chavin looks open and balanced. Below ground, it feels like another world. That contrast mattered. Entering the underground was like leaving the human world and entering the realm of gods. Eventually, Chavin de Huantar lost its power. We don't fully know why. Beliefs changed. New cultures rose. The site was abandoned. The underground galleries were left in darkness. For centuries, they slept beneath the stone. When modern archaeologists began exploring them, they realized how dangerous and complex they were. Some passages are extremely tight. Others suddenly drop or twist. Without maps, getting lost would be easy. That alone tells us these spaces were meant to be controlled by those who built them. Now let's talk about the current condition of the Chavin underground galleries. On the positive side, Chavin de Huantar is protected as a major cultural heritage site. The underground galleries that are open are carefully managed. Access is limited. Visitors can only enter with guides. Lighting is controlled to reduce damage. Ongoing research continues to reveal how advanced the engineering really was. The stonework is still strong. The drainage system still functions. Many carvings remain sharp and detailed. That level of preservation is impressive, given the age and harsh mountain environment. The underground galleries also help historians understand early religion and power. They show how belief systems were enforced not just through stories, but through architecture and sensory control. This makes Chavin extremely important to world history. But there are negatives. Water is both a strength and a threat. While the drainage works, climate change and stronger rains increase pressure on the system. Any failure could damage the galleries quickly. Earthquakes are another risk in this region. Tourism adds stress. Even limited numbers bring heat, moisture, and vibration. Over time, this affects stone surfaces and carvings. Some areas have already been closed to protect them. Another issue is that much of the underground system is still not fully understood. Some galleries are sealed or too dangerous to enter. This means parts of the story remain incomplete. Also, funding and resources are limited. Preservation in remote mountain areas is never easy. There is also a risk of oversimplifying the site for visitors. Some tours focus on visuals but miss the emotional and psychological impact the underground spaces were meant to create. That deeper meaning can be lost. In my opinion, the Chavin underground galleries represent one of the earliest examples of power through experience. This was not brute force. This was control of the senses. The builders understood that if you control what people hear, see, and feel, you control belief. I personally believe the underground galleries were more important than the surface buildings. The real transformation happened below. Above ground was for gathering. Below ground was for becoming something else. I also think we should be extremely careful with access. These tunnels were never meant for crowds. Preserving them matters more than showing everything. Some darkness should remain untouched. Right now, the present situation of Chavin de Huantar is guarded but vulnerable. The site is respected, studied, and visited, yet always at risk from nature and time. Above ground, stone plazas sit quietly in the mountain air. Below ground, the galleries remain cool, dark, and echoing, still holding the power to unsettle anyone who steps inside. They remind us that long before modern psychology, humans already knew how to shape fear into belief, using nothing but stone and darkness. Egyptian predynastic subterranean chambers. Egypt. Imagine walking through the endless sands of Egypt, where the sun burns the earth and wind blows dust across empty plains. You expect ruins, pyramids, and temples, and certainly Egypt delivers. But there is something older, quieter, and far more mysterious hidden beneath the desert floor. Pre-dynastic subterranean chambers, underground rooms and tunnels built thousands of years before the pyramids, before pharaohs, before hieroglyphs. These chambers are silent, cold, and almost forgotten, yet they carry the earliest whispers of Egyptian civilization. Here's the hook. These are not tombs in the conventional sense. They are not pyramids, mastabas, or graves with treasures for the afterlife. Predynastic chambers are older, simpler, and strangely puzzling. Some are carved into bedrock. Others are dug into desert dunes and filled with carefully arranged stones. The design is deliberate. Straight walls, low ceilings, narrow corridors. Some chambers are tiny, barely enough to sit in, while others expand into larger halls. Archaeologists date them to around 4000 to 3100 BCE, long before the pharaohs consolidated power. That means people built these chambers when Egyptian society was still forming, when agriculture was growing along the Nile, and settlements were small. Yet they invested time, energy, and skill to dig underground. Why? That is the mystery. Some chambers contain nothing but stone walls and empty space. Others have faint traces of burial or ritual items, pots, flints, even small figurines, but never consistent patterns. There are no detailed inscriptions to tell us who built them or why. Some chambers appear unfinished, as if the builders stopped mid-project. Others are sealed with large stone slabs, hidden from view for centuries. One of the strangest features of these predynastic chambers is their alignment. Many are oriented toward the Nile or specific stars. Others seem positioned to follow underground water channels or natural faults in the rock. That shows a remarkable understanding of both the landscape and the sky. Even without written records, these people planned carefully. Now, why go underground? There are several theories. One is ritual use. Darkness can have a profound effect on humans. Crawling into a low, silent space, away from the sun and wind, could have been a spiritual or meditative experience. Perhaps the chambers were meant to connect the living with the dead, or humans with gods. Another theory is protection. While not large enough for settlements, some chambers may have been refuges from natural threats, floods, sandstorms, predators, or even raiders. But most chambers are small and isolated, making long-term survival unlikely. They were not designed for living. They were designed for presence. Brief, intentional presence. Some chambers contain niches or alcoves carved into walls. Archaeologists suggest these may have held offerings, ritual objects, or symbols. Others think the alcoves may have served a psychological purpose. Narrow spaces create tension. Darkness heightens the senses. Even today, descending into one of these chambers produces a strong emotional reaction. The fact that some chambers are unfinished or sealed adds to the mystery. Did beliefs change? Did builders die or move away? Or were some chambers never meant to be entered at all? Perhaps some were symbolic. The act of digging into the earth could have been as important as the finished chamber itself. In many ways, these predynastic chambers are a window into a world we can barely imagine. There were no pharaohs, no grand cities, no monumental tombs yet. But already, humans were thinking symbolically. They were thinking about life, death, and meaning. Underground spaces were part of that thinking. Today, only a few of these chambers are accessible. Many lie beneath modern settlements or desert sands, undiscovered. Those that have been studied are fragile. Exposure to air, temperature changes, and human presence can damage stone and soil that have survived thousands of years. Let's look at the positives of the current situation. Some chambers are carefully protected by Egyptian antiquities authorities. Archaeologists document every detail. Conservation work helps prevent further damage. Awareness is growing, and some sites are open for controlled study and limited tourism. These chambers are no longer ignored. They are recognized as part of Egypt's deep history. The chambers themselves have held remarkably well. Stone walls remain mostly intact. Marks from ancient tools are visible. Some chambers still have faint traces of ancient pigments. The skill of the builders is clear. Even simple tools could produce precise results when used with care. But there are negatives. Many chambers are still at risk from desert erosion. Sand shifts and floods can collapse walls. Earthquakes, although rare, are another threat. Human activity, construction, farming, even casual tourists, can damage delicate chambers in an instant. And because these sites are less famous than the pyramids or temples, they often receive less funding for protection. Another problem is incomplete understanding. The age, purpose, and cultural significance of these chambers are still debated. Many are likely undiscovered under the sands or under modern villages. Every new discovery raises more questions than answers. In my opinion, the Egyptian predynastic subterranean chambers are among the most haunting archaeological sites in the world. They are simple yet profound. They are human-scale spaces that invite reflection. You feel the presence of people who lived millennia ago, struggling to understand existence without the tools or records we take for granted. I personally think their purpose was deeply symbolic. They were places to confront the unknown, to meditate on life and death, and to leave a mark on the world in a subtle but lasting way. Unlike the grand monuments of later Egypt, these chambers speak quietly. They demand thought, not awe. Right now, the present situation is cautiously stable. Some chambers are protected, studied, and visited, while many remain hidden under desert sands. Above ground, modern Egypt moves with life, cities, roads, and tourists. Below ground, the predynastic chambers sit in silence, cold and still, holding secrets older than pharaohs. They are reminders that even in the earliest days of civilization, humans were drawn to the earth, to darkness, and to mystery, seeking meaning in the hidden places beneath their feet.